All right, good afternoon, pre-calculus class. This is Mr. Walker here to let you understand what's happening with the class today. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put up a video each day explaining what you need to work on in class. I'm also going to be putting up the other videos that we normally use for our notes for the different note packets. And then what I'm going to do is place up videos explaining different parts of the homework. So just, little incremental things for you to understand it. Now, other than your general packet, I'm also going to have different Khan Academy assignments to help us stay sharp with things. So that's going to be what your attendance will be based off of for these upcoming weeks. So I'll make sure that you see them on Schoology, make sure that you take a look at them and handle them. So what we're going to deal with is our Khan Academy assignments for today. We got 4 different ones we got to talk about. We got evaluating functions based off of the equation, evaluating them off of the graph, finding composite functions, and then finding composite functions from graphs and tables. So these are just little quick reviews of what we did last week, and then hopefully we will be able to come up with a time for us to meet later. So let's talk about the first one. Pretty simple enough. We got k of t, and that is 13t minus 2. We say that instead of t, we're going to be plugging 3 in for every t. So this first one, we got 13 times 3 minus 2. Now 13 times 3 ends up giving us 39, and 39 minus 2 is equal to 37. So that means that our first answer here will be 37. Now if you want us to check, let's go ahead and check. So here we're at with this one. I'll zoom in a little bit. I'm going to put 37. There we go. Nice big check. Alright, let's look at the next one that we got here. Next one is very similar. This time we're going to be evaluating the function based off of its graph. So very simple. They're going to give you a graph, and then you're going to have to just find what f of 1 is. Now f is this entire blue line that they give us, and f of 1 is the output for when this function is at 1 for its x value. So if you know, right over here, this is 1. So that means that when we go from f of 1, we're going to look at the y value for 1 at this part of the graph. That ends up being this little red dot right here at 1, 1. So that means that the output for 1 for this function is 1. So let's go over, let's check this. Nice and easy. So again, these are just made for us to review. It's perfectly fine. Now for the next one, we have a composite function. Now this is one of the newer things that we talked about last week, so let's go through this incrementally. For this, they give us f of x, and g of x is outside of f of x. So really what this is saying is g of f of x. So what this means is we're going to be making a function combining these two. So essentially what's going to happen first is we see that we're going to be putting f of x into the x values for g of x. So that means that when we look at the x values for g of x, that means that it plugs into these two x values here. Now once we plug them in there, we're going to have to go through, we're going to have to expand this, and then we're going to have to combine like terms where we need to be. So let's first look. We're going to first have 2x plus 3 to the second power. That's in place of x squared. And that's minus 3 times x. Now 3 times x is going to turn into 3 times 2x plus 3. And then that's all added by 1 at the end. Now all this right here means that we got to go through and we got to expand these things appropriately. So we're going to deal with these two things inside of the parentheses first, then we're going to combine like terms. So first things first, let's deal with this one right here. Now 2x plus 3 to the second power is really 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. So that's what that is expanded out a little bit, which means we're going to have to multiply this out using the FOIL method. So let's deal with that first. So to the side, what I'm going to do is that little bit of math right there. So let's do that math. Now, we got 2x and 3. That's being multiplied by 2x and 3. I like using the box method because it's just a little bit, you know, nicer to me, personally. So, 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Now, 2x times 3 gives us a 6x. And since we have the same thing lining up over here, we're also going to have another 6x. And then finally, 3 times 3 is 9. So, this right here ends up turning into 4x squared plus, and now I'm going to combine these two right around here, these two right here. 6 plus 6, that is 12x. And then I have plus 9. Now let's deal with the next one. So I know that I'm multiplying negative 3 times 2x plus 3. So negative 3 times 2x is 6x, so a minus 6x. And then negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. And then we got plus 1. So right here, this is what we all got before we combine like terms. So we know the things that are alike here is going to end up being our 12x and our negative 6x. So we got 12x here and negative 6x there. And then we know that we got another like term with positive 9 and negative 9 and 1. So let's deal with 12x minus 6x. So 12 minus 6 is a 6. So we got 6x. Now 9 minus 9 is 0, and 0 plus 1 is going to be a 1. And then finally we got the 4x coming through at the bottom. So our final polynomial should be 4x squared plus 6x plus 1. So let's go through and let's check this. So we got 4x squared, and that's plus 6x and plus 1. Big old check. We got this. Alright. Very last one that we got here. We got a set of graphs that we're going to have to deal with our composite function off of this. So let's look at what we got on the graphs. So what they're telling us here is what is h of f of 6. So first thing we're going to have to do is we need to find out what is first f of negative 6. Then whatever we get from this, we put into whatever h of whatever that number is. So let's let me erase this just to make this look a little neater. So we got this ain't working. Whatever, we're gonna come back in here. So let's look. So first let's go to f of negative 6. You're wondering why we go to f first? Because f is the one next to negative 6. So whatever the output is for f of negative 6, we're going to plug into h. So here's f, this blue curve. When we're at negative 6, it's actually right about, yep, it falls right on the line. So negative 6 falls right here at negative 2. Okay, so this is negative 2 right here. That means that when we go through and we're trying to find out what h is, we're going to do h of negative 2. So h of negative 2, we're going to go to negative 2 on the x-axis, and then we're going to go up to right here. So that means that that answer is 1. So let's go through and let's check our options. We got negative 18, 2, 1, and 9. 1's right over here on C. So let's go through, let's check. Big old check. We're good. Now let's check to see one more before we go off, people. So this last one here for Khan Academy is for not only graphs but also tables. So let's go through and check one for our table. So these tables below show some inputs for the outputs, inputs and outputs for f and g. So this one gives us g of f of -6. So just like we did before, we're first going to find f of -6. So this first table here, this is for f of x. So we're going to go to f, and we're going to go to where x is -6. That gives us 0 as an answer. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take the 0 here, and we're going to evaluate that for g of x. So we're going to go to g of x, and we're going to look for where x is 0. So when I go through and look, my x values, I got 6, -3, I got 0 right here. This tells me that right here at 0, my output for that is 3. So just like how it was before, I go to 1, I find the output for the x value they give me, and then I take that output and I use that as the input for my next function. So we went from -6 to 0, and then from 0 in the next function to 3, which means that our answer here should be 3. So let's check. Okay, we're all good. Now, you got 4 questions for each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 16 questions you guys got to get knocked out before the end of the day so that you can get credit. So all these are in the Monday folder for Schoology. This video will be posted up in probably the next half hour. Okay, so I'll see you guys later. You guys stay safe.